Okay, so in this video I'm going to address question number 1 of our evaluation questions. So we're going to talk about conventions of films and how our film plays into them on the whole. So our film starts off with 2 idents, Lemon Peel Productions and Sushi Time. Now Lemon Peel uses, I think, professional effects. It looks black and white, it's got the timing right, it's about 3 seconds long, it's got the same actions you would expect to see in a normal film ident. Then we have Sushi Time, and it's got a little sound effect. I think that makes it quite quirky, like how other films idents are, maybe with the music on sometimes. Now we were going to put the sound track over these idents, but we decided not to, because it would make it more dramatic when the sound finally did come in. So I think these idents use a lot of graphics because of the video that they're based on. Maybe that makes them look a little bit more interesting. Maybe that could detract from the actual ident, I suppose, because usually an ident uses simple lines, simple colours, things like that. I mean, we've used filters on them, especially the Sushi Time one, just to make it a bit more looking like a typical ident, with the colour palette, blacks, whites and then red. Of course you could try and posterize it more if you wanted to look more like proper ident, but the experimentation that we tried with motion just made it look a little bit silly. So, like most films, the ident will fade out and it will go into a black screen, and as you heard, the music starts just before the picture comes in, and I think that kind of builds suspense. It's something we've seen other film openings doing quite a lot. And then, not so much as an establishing shot, but it introduces the character through this small section, different shots, and then as the tap comes on, the louder parts of the music. Different shots of a character which allows us to identify them, and we've also got credits along the bottom. Now we picked that kind of credit because we thought it represented the genre of the film. The red outlining around the edge of the film, around the edge of the font, that gives it that slight twist that links to the main title. I thought that the role they played in lowercase and the name of the person in uppercase made it stand out, made it look really professional, because it kind of exaggerates the person's name more than their role. And I also think the positioning of the credits on the screen, firstly, makes them a little bit more interesting because the film's still going on behind, but it's something that we've seen being done quite a lot. The central positioning just makes it stay nice and symmetrical. So in these shots we try to show kind of our expertise for hiding cameras in front of mirrors and reflections. I think that's something that quite a lot of companies do. And the final credit in this section was the director's name, and now we've moved on to a second sort of scene. We begin the actors' names. This could be thought of as the establishing shot of the scene, with the character that we've already identified with going into a pub or restaurant. This really long tracking shot is something that you see at the beginning of quite a few films. One that comes to mind, School of Rock in 2004. Can't quite remember who it was directed by, I'll have to look that up. Someone with a fun name. That starts with a really long take with a steady cam. Through that, actually, very interestingly, all the idents and credits are on objects like the wall, people's t-shirts, things like that. That's quite interesting, and maybe we drew a bit of inspiration of a long scene from that. And again, we've got the long list of people's names. We wanted to include some of the less important actors because, of course, later in the film they will become more important, which is you know, something that all films do. You have to include everyone who's helped on the film. We wanted to include them in the beginning. So, keeping with the theme of making it look like a normal film, it's kind of telling the story of the man as he walks towards the room. And of course all the extra people, or the people doing normal things, that all adds to the ambience of it just being a normal day. Now this is clever, I like what we've done here. We go into the back of James, and this is in fact a cut, but it's kind of hidden by the fact that the title sweeps across his back, and then we then zoom into Charlotte. We cut, and there is kind of a silence part as the music goes down as the dialogue starts, and we found this a lot in the films, just so you can hear what the person's saying, really. We wanted just a little bit of dialogue, maybe not to detract from the action. And then of course we go against the stereotype of women being maybe a little bit useless, and we've got Charlotte, who plays Chantel, giving Richard, who is Paulie, the knife to chop his finger off. We tried to keep the shots as professional looking as possible. We tried to make him always completely in the frame. This here focusing on the hand, and now with the reaction shot of Tristan, it looked quite professional, because I believe that focus at the end of the film had to be drawn back onto him. So all in all, we did go along with things that people expect from a film: the music, the credits, the establishing of the characters and the plot, which will then continue later into the film.